Welcome to the deep dive. We have a really fascinating stack of sources to unpack for you today.
Oh, yeah. This one is incredibly important.
Right. So think about this for a second. If a modern corporation is missing, I don't know, like $500 from their petty cash drawer, they are subjected to this brutal, microscopic financial audit.
Oh, absolutely. Every single receipt gets checked.
Right. But if that same corporation accidentally leaves, say, 50 million user passwords exposed on an unsecured server,
Hmm.
historically, they've just been able to, investigate themselves.
Yeah, they write their own report.
Exactly. They write their own report and just assure the public that everything is totally fine. It's a staggering double standard.
It's the ultimate accountability gap, really. I mean, for decades, the tech industry has operated in this bizarre, like, just trust us era.
Yeah.
But what we're looking at today suggests that era is coming to a very abrupt end.
And that is exactly our mission today.
Hmm.
We're looking at this freshly published blog post by Vijay Shankar Rao, who is widely known in the field as Navi.
Right, Navi.
And this post details a quietly revolutionary event that took place recently on June 6, 2026.
Yeah, the inaugural induction program.
Exactly. For a brand new class of professionals. They're calling them independent data auditors. And this was organized by the FDPPI, which stands for the Foundation of Data Protection Professionals in India.
Right.
And they're operating under this motto that kind of tells you everything you need to know about their ambition. It's impanel, engage, empower.
It's strong.
Yeah. They are basically stepping up to claim the title of Guardians of Data Accountability.
And, the word guardians does a lot of heavy lifting there.
Oh, for sure.
It really sets the stakes for everything we're going to discuss today, because if your personal data is essentially currency in the modern economy, well, you need objective watchdogs guarding the vault.
Right.
Until now, data protection has largely been just, an internal IT issue, like a help desk ticket.
Yeah, told.
But this induction program marks the exact moment we pulled data oversight out of the server room and place it squarely into the realm of formal external governance, right alongside financial auditing.
So let's start breaking down the blueprint of how you actually build one of these guardians.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Because the source material outlines the structure of this June 6th event. It kicked off with an introductory talk by Navi.
Yeah.
But what really caught my attention was the very first heavy-hitting panel of the day.
The ethics one.
Yes. It wasn't about encryption. It wasn't about, complex cloud architecture. It was focused entirely on a code of ethics.
Which is so interesting.
And that was immediately followed by a panel on the specific role of an independent data auditor. They brought in some serious weight for this, too.
Oh, yeah. They had advisors tied to A2I, right?
Exactly. AID-AI, which is an advisory body focused on artificial intelligence and data standards. So they had insights from people like Rakesh Maheshwari, Sudarshan Mandiyam, and Madhava Murthy.
Setting that ethical foundation before anything else is honestly the most crucial decision they could have made for this curriculum.
I hear that. I really do. But I kind of have to push back a little here.
Okay, lay it on me.
We are talking about data. We are talking about hard binary concepts, right?
Right.
Firewalls, server logs, zero-day vulnerabilities.
Sure.
So if you're training a room full of people to audit complex technical infrastructure, isn't ethics a bit of a soft, fuzzy, philosophical concept to lead with?
I see where you're coming from.
Like, why aren't they starting with the mechanics of how to penetrate a local network?
Well, because technical mechanics are totally useless if the auditor just folds under pressure.
Okay, fair.
This goes to the absolute core difference between a standard IT support professional and a true independent data auditor.
Right.
Let's look at the actual mechanism of a data cover-up.
Okay, paint the picture.
Imagine one of these newly trained auditors is digging around and finds a glaring vulnerability. Say, an unencrypted database full of customer financial records. And it's just been sitting open to the public internet for 6 months.
Just a total, absolute disaster.
A disaster that threatens the company's stock price, the CEO's end-of-year bonus, and the entire public image of the brand.
Right. The stakes are huge.
Exactly. Now, the technical act of finding that database, that might have taken the auditor a week.
Okay.
But the battle over what to do with that information, that is going to take months. The moment the auditor brings that finding to the C-suite, the pressure campaign begins.
Oh, they're going to try to spin it.
Oh, absolutely. Management will ask them to water down the language in the report.
Wow.
They'll ask to categorize it as, a suboptimal configuration rather than a critical public exposure.
Classic corporate speak.
Exactly. And they might even threaten the auditing firm's future contracts if they don't play ball.
So you're saying the auditor's technical skills got them to the vulnerability,
Right.
but those technical skills cannot protect them from a hostile executive board.
You are hitting on the exact vulnerability of the human auditor. Without a formalized, uncompromising code of ethics, the auditor is completely isolated.
Oh, I see.
By making the code of ethics the absolute first panel before they even discuss the daily mechanics of the job, the FDPPI is hardwiring this understanding that objective truth is the supreme directive.
Right. You cannot be a guardian of data accountability if your findings can just be massaged by a panicked PR department.
Exactly. They have to hold the line.
That really reframes the whole profession for me. It's like they are building the armor before they hand them the sword.
That's a great way to put it.
But obviously, having an unyielding ethical compass isn't going to help you if you don't actually know how to navigate the chaos of, like, a collapsed server.
Right. You still need the skills.
Which transitions us perfectly to how this induction program moved from foundational theory in the morning to brutal in-the-field practice later on.
Yeah, this is where we really see the collision of two very different worlds, the classroom and the crisis room.
So the source material highlights the involvement of MYRA, which is a prominent business school, in developing this training.
Right.
And we see two very distinct perspectives presented at the event. First, Dr. Ramasastry Ambarish, who's the director of MYRA, he detailed why rigorous academic institutions have to be involved in molding these professionals.
The academic foundation.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then, right on his heels, Mr. Mahendra, the CTO of MYRA, tackled the highly technical, boots-on-the-ground reality of data breach management.
It's a very deliberate juxtaposition because an independent data auditor lives at the turbulent intersection of those two disciplines.
Right.
Academia provides the necessary structure. You need to deeply understand complex legal frameworks like the GDPR or India's DPDPA.
You have to know the law.
You have to. You need to understand statistical models for risk assessment and all the historical precedents of privacy law. That is the academic side.
But the tech side, especially during an active breach, it doesn't care about historical precedents.
Not at all.
If academia is like studying the intricate blueprints of a massive cargo ship in a quiet library,
Right.
the technical reality of a data breach is like trying to patch a jagged leak in the hull while the engine room is actively flooding with freezing water.
That is a fantastic way to visualize it. The environment is inherently chaotic.
Yeah.
When a breach happens, the server logs are conflicting or they're just completely missing.
Right?
Network traffic is a mess. You are dealing with entirely incomplete information while the clock is ticking and the financial damage is compounding by the minute.
Which actually brings us to my absolute favorite part of the induction program's curriculum.
Oh, the role play.
Yes. To test how these auditors handle that flooding engine room, the organizers ran a role-play exercise called the Case of Ramya.
Such a brilliant addition to the training.
Now, the blog post doesn't give us the specific script of this scenario, but we really don't need the exact script to understand the mechanism of what they're teaching here.
No, the concept speaks for itself.
Right. The mere fact that they're running a human simulation tells us that data breaches are, at their core, messy, unpredictable human crises.
Because if you think about what a simulation like the Case of Ramya actually requires an auditor to do, algorithms follow rules, right?
Yeah.
Terrified employees do not. In a real breach scenario, an employee, perhaps our hypothetical Ramya here, might have accidentally clicked a phishing link that let the attackers in.
And because she's absolutely terrified of losing her job,
Yeah.
she might lie about it.
Exactly.
She might delete emails to try and cover her tracks.
Which is exactly the kind of chaos an auditor faces on day one of an investigation.
Wow.
The auditor has to sit across a table from that terrified employee, parse the highly technical server logs that completely contradict her story, and somehow extract the truth.
All while everyone else is panicking.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, the legal team is screaming to lock down all communication.
Right.
And the IT team is haphazardly rebooting servers, probably accidentally destroying crucial forensic evidence in the process.
So the auditor has to manage the emotional volatility of the humans while simultaneously diagnosing the technical failure of the machines.
And they have to do all of that while maintaining that unyielding code of ethics we discussed earlier.
Right. You can't let the emotions sway a report.
Exactly. The case of Ramya proves that these professionals are being trained in emotional intelligence and crisis interrogation just as much as they are being trained in digital forensics.
That makes so much sense.
They aren't just checking boxes on an audit sheet, you know? They are navigating a literal human disaster zone.
I gotta say, if your personal information gets leaked in a hack, you really want the person investigating it to have survived a few Case of Ramya simulations.
Oh, absolutely.
So we now have a very clear picture of who these auditors are and just how rigorously they're being trained. But here's where we need to zoom out a bit,
Right, the bigger picture.
because the implications of this June 6th event go way beyond just handing out certificates to a new graduating class.
Oh, it was much more than that.
This event essentially functioned as a drafting session for a set of radical new rules that could entirely rewrite corporate governance.
Yes. The discussions held during this program generated some incredible proposals. And if they're adopted, they will strip away the layers of corporate protection that have basically allowed data negligence to thrive.
Yeah, the source notes that AGI will be considering adopting these provisions. So let me just lay out the 4 major structural changes that were proposed during the event.
Let's hear them.
Okay, first, voluntary rotation of auditors after 2 or 3 years.
Crucial.
Second, requiring actual shareholder approval for the appointment of these auditors. Third, ensuring the scoping of the audit is done by an independent third party, not by the corporate management.
Wow, it is huge.
And fourth, increasing the sheer value and weight of FTP PPI certifications by building partnerships with academia and other certification bodies.
Every single one of those proposals is a direct strike against the status quo of how companies currently police themselves.
So let's look at the mechanics of the first one.
Uh-huh.
Rotating the auditor every 2 or 3 years.
Right, because in traditional auditing, if a firm works with the same corporate executive team for, say, a decade, a natural human drift occurs.
Yeah, they get comfortable.
They do.
They start going to the same charity dinners. They learn about each other's golf handicaps.
Exactly. They get cozy. And the moment an auditor gets cozy, they start giving the management team the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
If they see a questionable data practice, they might think, oh, I know the CIO, he's a good guy, I'm sure they'll fix it next quarter. So they just leave it out of the official report.
And in data security, the benefit of the doubt is a massive vulnerability.
It is the biggest vulnerability.
So the forced rotation basically acts as a circuit breaker.
It guarantees that fresh, highly skeptical eyes are constantly reviewing the architecture. It breaks any unholy alliances before they have time to calcify.
That makes total sense. Let's move to the second proposal, which I find really brilliant, requiring shareholder approval to appoint the auditor.
Oh, this one is fascinating.
Because think about how this works right now. The board of directors, or the C-suite, they usually get to pick their own auditor.
Right.
And naturally, human nature dictates they're going to shop around for the auditor who gives them the least amount of friction. They want a rubber stamp.
It's the classic agency problem in action. The executives' incentives, like keeping the stock price high and securing their bonuses, they're often misaligned with the company's actual long-term health.
Right. But if you force the appointment to a shareholder vote, you completely upend that power dynamic.
You take the decision entirely out of the shadows of the boardroom.
Yes, and you hand it to the people who actually bear the financial risk of a catastrophic data breach. Shareholders don't want a rubber stamp.
No, they don't.
They want to know if the company they own is secretly a ticking time bomb of data liabilities.
Exactly. You are democratizing the oversight. And that pairs perfectly with the third proposal, which is arguably the most aggressive one on the list. Independent scoping.
Oh, this is the one I really wanted to enthusiastically unpack.
Mhm.
Go for it. Because the way scoping is currently abused in the industry is just wild. To me, having corporate management define the scope of their own data audit. Well, it's exactly like a restaurant owner greeting the city health inspector at the front door.
Okay, I like this.
And the owner says, "Welcome. You are free to inspect my restaurant, but you are only allowed to test the cleanliness of the dining room tables. You are legally not allowed to step foot in the kitchen."
Right. And what do we assume is happening in the kitchen?
The raw chicken is sitting right on top of the salad. It's a disaster.
Exactly.
In the tech world, scoping is weaponized all the time like this.
Hmm.
Management will hire an auditor and say, "Hey, we want you to rigorously test our brand new, highly secure cloud infrastructure."
But our legacy on-premise servers from 2012, yeah, those are out of scope. Do not touch them.
Right. knowing full well that those legacy servers are still connected to the main network,
Right.
providing this massive backdoor for any competent hacker.
It's just a shell game.
Exactly. If management dictates the scope, they just steer the auditor's flashlight away from the dark corners they know they haven't bothered to fix.
But this proposal demands that a neutral third party defines the scope. So the auditor actually gets to walk right past the maitre d' and kick open the kitchen doors.
It completely removes the blinders.
It really does. When you combine independent scoping with shareholder approval and forced rotation, you aren't just making minor administrative tweaks.
No.
You are building a highly aggressive system of checks and balances. And then that final proposal anchoring the FDP PPI certification to major academic institutions like MYRA.
Right.
It ensures that the market recognizes the absolute legitimacy of these auditors. It signals to everyone that these aren't just glorified IT consultants. They are board-level accountability officers.
It is honestly incredible how much consequence is packed into this one source. I mean, we started this deep dive looking at a summary of a blog post recapping an induction program on June 6th.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff on the surface.
Right. On the surface, it's just an agenda. We had some panels, some speeches,
Yeah.
a role-play exercise.
Right.
But when you actually pull apart the mechanics of what they were discussing, Nabi's post is documenting the drafting of a brand new blueprint for corporate accountability.
We're quite literally watching the architecture of digital trust being rebuilt from the ground up.
Yeah.
It's this incredible synthesis of unyielding ethics, deep academic rigor, chaotic technical reality, and just a demand for radical transparency.
And for anyone who wants to study this historical shift as it happens, the source material explicitly notes that the entire June 6th event was recorded via Zoom.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and a clean video recording is currently in development to preserve all these foundational discussions.
The preservation of this event is vital, honestly, because of the trajectory it sets us on. And, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've established that our personal data is increasingly viewed as an asset, right? One that can sometimes be more valuable than a company's physical inventory. And we've also established the immense lengths the FDPPI is going to in order to give these independent data auditors genuine, uncompromising teeth.
So what happens when they actually succeed?
Right. Think about the ripple effect. How long will it be until a company's data audit report becomes the single most important document in the corporate world?
Oh, wow.
Imagine a future, perhaps just a few years from now, where you are deciding whether to invest your life savings in a tech startup.
Oh, right.
Or maybe you are deciding whether to accept a job offer from a major healthcare provider. Or you are simply deciding whether to download a new app that tracks your location.
Right, you wouldn't make any of those decisions blindly.
No. Before you invest your money, commit your labor, or surrender your digital privacy, you will demand to see the clean bill of health from an independent data auditor.
Wow.
Just like we refuse to eat at a restaurant with a failing grade in the window, we will soon refuse to interact with any corporation that cannot prove objectively that our digital lives are actually safe in their hands.
The era of just trust us is officially on notice.
It really is.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your data safe, and we will catch you next time.